back with another one, man. Let's go, bro. Absolute Green Lantern full story. Let's go. We can do that, bro. We're going to keep it light, bro, because there's a lot of horror going on tonight, bro. You feel me? There's a lot of horror. You feel me? We gonna raise down now. We gonna lower down our. You feel me? You feel me? We gonna dial it down. We're gonna dial it down back, bro. We're gonna keep it balanced. You feel me? That react to Green Lantern, Ultimate Green Lantern, bro. Absolute. I said ultimate, bro. You know what the fuck I'm trying to say, bro. Let's go.
Absolute Green Lantern.
Let's go, bro. You know what the fuck
You
I'm trying to
must
say, bro.
be without fear. Hal Jordan closes his eyes. Be without fear, he whispers to himself. But the black circle flashes before his eyes, and a voice whispers to him. Hal Jordan, you must be without fear. Hal opens his eyes again, gasping for air. Without fear. I'm so scared, he whispers as he continues to walk down the lone desert roadway. But lights suddenly flash behind him, and Hal looks over his shoulder to see that a cop has pulled to a stop. The sheriff steps out of the vehicle and calls to him. Sir, excuse me. Seems like an odd location for a Sunday stroll, the sheriff calls, pointing out that it's a long way from civilization, and Hal might not make it much further in the heat. Hal's hand fiddles with something in his jacket pocket, and the sheriff notices the strange movement, and his hand drifts slowly down towards his pistol. What's in your pocket, sir? The sheriff asks. Sweat begins to pour off of Hal, and his eyes go wide. He doesn't answer. The sheriff becomes insistent. What's in there? Is it drugs? He snaps. Is it a weapon? Hal closes his eyes. The black circle appears before him. The sheriff draws his weapon and aims it at Hal, who puts one hand up. Fine, we'll do it this way. Lie down and place both your hands flat on the ground. Do it now, the cop snaps. But Hal still refuses to pull his hand out of his pocket. Please, my name is Hal Jordan. I'm from Evergreen. Something happened there, Hal shouts. But the sheriff is still yelling at him, finger on the trigger. Last warning, show me your hand. Finally, Hal pulls the hand out of his pocket. It is over in seconds. Hal opens his eyes and stares at the cracked smear on the pavement where the cop used to be, his sheriff's star gleaming in the desert sun.
What the fuck? What the hell going on with this Hal Jordan, bro? Why is fucking hand black? I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's always something with the absolute universe, bro. There's always something wrong with these motherfuckers in the absolute verse, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Hal whispers as he turns and keeps walking. Later, the bell over at the May and Mo's diner jingles as Hal steps through the door. The patron's eyes all shift to look at the stranger that just walked through the door. But Hal just stares down as he walks to the counter. Something we can do for you, hun? The waitress calls out. Hal nods at her and sits at the counter. Water, please, he gasps. She stares at him as she brings a bottle of water. Sure. Have you been walking out there? Did your car break down or something? She asks. Hal just stares at the water in front of him. No, something happened, he whispers. Suddenly, all eyes are on the television as breaking news cuts into the midday programming. All of the diners stare in shock as the reporters begin to talk. What you're seeing is helicopter footage from Evergreen, Nevada, a small town 15 miles from the California state line. This footage is live and unedited. It has not been tampered with in any way, the reporter says. Everyone watches as the helicopter flies over the town, where a massive green flat lantern shape has slammed into the ground, cutting through buildings.
What the fuck is this?
And creating a massive crater.
The
The images cut back to a reporter. The destruction seems almost total, though no bodies have so far been recovered, she says. But there is movement off screen as someone starts to talk to her and hands her a piece of paper. The reporter nods before turning back to the camera. I've been informed that we can't show you any more of that footage. An official statement is being prepared, she says before the screen switches to an emergency warning. The diners are all shocked and begin to murmur amongst themselves. Hal stares at the counter, looking down at the ring of condensation from his water, and the black ring flashes before his eyes. 5 days ago, Hal was sitting in a restaurant with his friends in Evergreen, talking about hoping to win the online auction for a Malibu Mary dream house. The glamorous life of a toy salesman, Joe says with a smile. But Hal shakes his head. Collectibles dealer, Joe. Respect the office. And it pays more than designing buildings for a town nobody ever moves to, Hal points out. Jon Stewart lets his friends argue while he continues to eat his salad. But
That's the GOAT? I got John in this bitch.
they all look up as 3 bikers suddenly zoom past on the main street, going far faster than the speed limit. Somebody's gonna get hurt, Hal says, pointing out that they should call Guy. But Joe makes a face. If Guy's ears are working, he knows all about it. I'm not calling him, she says. Hal starts to nudge at the topic of,
So we got Hal, we got Stewart, and we got Guy. Is Cal gonna be here? Cal Raider? Is Cal gonna be here?
Joe and Guy's fight. Guy wanted me to come back to the Evergreen PD. It turned into an argument. I said some things. But if he still doesn't understand why I quit, well, maybe they needed saying. Joe finally explains.
police officers.
Suddenly, there is a sound of another approaching motorcycle. The 3 friends looked up again as the biker approached. Suddenly, there is a flash of green, and something slams into the ground. The bike can't stop, and slams into the green wall, exploding in a shower of metal, blood, and bone.
Bro, what?
The 3 friends stare in horror before Hal quickly jumps out of his seat and rushes outside. Hal cautiously steps up to the green wall, which seems to shine before him. What the hell? He whispers. Joe steps up behind him. It's like there's a wall, but there's give. It's like a force field in a movie. He tells her as he glances over his shoulder. Maybe stop touching it, Hal, Joe whispers to him. John is nearby, inspecting the crash, but the biker was going too fast. There's barely anything left of his body and the motorcycle. Hal and Joe watch as the other bikers come back. They seem to stare at the green wall for a moment before turning around and riding away. Hal stares after them in shock. They just turned around and rode away? Like their buddy isn't dead on the road? He whispers in confusion. Joe nods, like they don't see anything strange at all. What's happening here? They look at the greenery around them, realizing that it rises up and creates some kind of dome. Maybe whatever it is doesn't like to be noticed? Joe looks up and points, seeing a flat lantern shape above them. Guys? What's that? She says as she points up. Above them, a pale alien stares downward.
That nigga look tough.
The present. Hal stares at the ring on the counter. Abin Sur. He said his name was Abin Sur. Hal whispers. He came from somewhere else. The symbol in the sky? That belonged to him. The waitress turns at his words and leans in. You were there? You were in Evergreen? That thing on the news? Was it some kind of spaceship? She asks. Tears begin to fall from Hal's eyes. He called it the Green Lantern. Hal whispers. The rest of the patrons are becoming angry, surrounding Hal, demanding answers for what's going on. I made a mistake. I wanted to be a hero, Hal stammers. Abin Sur, he did something to me. He gave me something. Gave me a weapon, Hal continues. The waitress nods as Hal's hand begins to shift in his jacket pocket. Like a gun? She asks. Her own hand sliding under the counter where a pistol waits. But one of the other patrons isn't waiting. He demands to know what is in Hal's pocket, just like the cop. He finally reaches out and grabs a hold of Hal's arm. Give me that! Let's see it! The man shouts. He pulls Hal's hand free of the pocket, revealing that from the wrist down, Hal's hand is a swirling black vortex with energy surging off of it. Black tendrils come out of the hand, picking the man up and lifting him into the air. Everyone screams as the man is
And this Black Lantern Corps? The Black Lantern Corps? I don't think they can. I don't think they can do that. And in Black Lantern Corps, you need to be dead. I know Darkseid created the absolute universe. I wonder, did he corrupt the Green Lantern or something is going on?
torn apart, leaving nothing but his golden necklace. The energy continues to surge off the hand, swirling around the diner. Hal reaches down and grabs a hold of his wrist, as if he's trying to keep it under control. It's the hand. I'm holding it back. It takes all I have to hold it back. Keep it away from people. But I can't control it. It responds to danger, Hal yells. The waitress draws her pistol and fires, hitting Hal in the stomach. The tendrils arch out, ripping through the diner and knocking the cars over in the parking lot.
You see him lift a grown man up, a 6'3", 300, 400-pound man up, and shred that nigga. And he says, "It's not me. I'm trying to hold it back and fight it back. It responds to danger." And your response is to shoot him. Oh my God, bro. The theme of tonight gotta be fucking stupidity, bro. It gotta be stupidity, bro. What possessed you to shoot him?
Moments later, Hal is standing in the remains of the diner, everyone dead around him. Hal reaches for the wound in his stomach, but the black tendrils reach out, healing him as he stares in shock. He looks down at the black hand. "You're not gonna let me die, are you?" he whispers. Suddenly, the door is shoved open and the golden bell jingles, miraculously having survived. Hal? Hal Jordan? What happened to you? Jo asks as she steps into the diner. But she is glowing with a green light. The Green Lantern symbol is bright on her chest. The darkness swirls before her. The voice speaks out.
But he's not. That's not a Green Lantern power. Man, what the hell is happening to him? So is Hal Jordan not a Green Lantern in this story? They got a new one, or that's a good ass story. I don't know. That's new to me, bro. It's new to me, bro. From now on, right? I'm gonna do a lot of reactions, right? There's a lot of stories that I already seen. There's a lot of them I didn't. You feel me? I'm gonna do a good mixture of both. You feel me? Cause I feel like even though it's a lot of stories that I've seen, I feel like there's a lot that other people should see. Cause it's that fucking good. But I also love the stories that I have not seen, bro, that I don't know about. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, watching some shit you don't know about and don't know how it's gonna end or what's going on is fucking tough. Let's go.
Sojourner Mulane, be without fear. You exist at the green level of light. You must have knowledge of yourself to command the flame. You must be without fear. Entirely without fear. The voice calls. But a familiar voice speaks next. Jo? Hal calls softly. Jo opens her eyes to see that she is standing in a ruined diner. Hal Jordan nearby. Green light emanates from Jo as she steps into the darkened room. You look like him. Like Abin Sur. What did he do to you? Hal asks her. Jo looks down at her hands, looking at the strange green cracks that have begun to appear in her skin, at the green light that seems to flow out of her. I have no idea. I mean, you were there. You know everything I do, but it's not good. I'm hearing things, seeing things, and I could feel this pull, like something was leading me here. Turns out, it's you, she says before motioning to Hal's black hand. So, what's with your hand, Hal? She asks. The black hand. Don't get too close, Jo. Hal says as he looks down at his hand. The hand that does things when he's in danger, like it's trying to protect him. I can feel it in my head, Joe, like a dark star, he whispered.
Is he gonna be the strongest Green Lantern in the universe, in the multiverse? Outside of parallel, I don't know, in history, probably. Hey, it's too soon to tell if he's gonna be the most powerful one. Current in history, too soon to tell. But currently, he got a power that the rest of them don't have.
He motions to the destruction around him, explaining that he tried to control it, tried to hold it back before it did all of this, willing it not to do what it does. I gave it all I had, Joe.
Hey, you know what I thought about, right? I feel like they playing off that meme. Bro, it's a very, very popular meme going on, right? Where they like, oh, when you and your friend got powers, right? And one of them was like, oh my God, we can now save the world. And the other one was like, save it. No, we don't need to save it. We need to control it. Right? And the good friend got light, and the bad friend got antimatter. Well, I feel like this is like playing off of that, bro. If they're actually playing off that video meme, bro, they're a fucking genius, bro. They are a fucking genius, bro.
But I guess willpower isn't what makes this work. Hal says as he flexes his hand,
I like that wordplay.
Staring at it. We still don't know what the rules are. Remember what happened to John? Or Guy? He gasps as he looks up at her. His eyes widened in horror. Days ago, the town has gathered on the main street as the pilot of the
Bro, they always kill Guy Gardner, bro. I don't know, there's something about alternate universes, bro. They always kill Guy Gardner and Killua, bro. They always kill those two. I don't know why, bro. I've never seen a universe going wrong, right? And Guy Gardner lives to see it. Live to see the end of it, bro. It would never happen, bro. They hate Guy Gardner, bro. I don't know why. Like he can lead. He can sell comics. I don't know why they hate him.
Strange craft above has finally arrived. The alien creature stands in the street and looks around at those gathered. I am Abin Sur. Have understanding that I have come to you from the Green Lantern. I exist at the green level of light. Be without fear. Abin Sur calls. Sheriff Guy Gardner steps forward, ordering his deputies to lower their weapons. Guy is nervous, but his voice is strong as he walks up to the alien. Abin Sur, my name is Guy Gardner. I'm the sheriff of Evergreen. That makes me the authority here. The law. You understand what laws are, right? Guy calls. Abin Sur stares at him for a moment, before finally raising his hand. Green light begins to emanate from it. I have understanding. Judgment will now commence, Abin Sur tells him. Guy takes a step back as his hand drops to the gun on his belt, shouting for Abin Sur to lower his hand and stop the light. The other deputies raise their weapons, aiming at the big alien. Everyone begins shouting, but Abin Sur doesn't seem to notice. Judgment is in progress. Guy Gardner, you are not an entity who currently exists in the spectrum of light. Be without fear. Be entirely without fear, Abin Sur says. Guy aims down the sights of his pistol, his finger gently beginning to squeeze the trigger. He stares into Abin Sur's eyes, and Abin Sur stares back. But Joe, Hal, and John have finally arrived. Guy! What are you doing? This is first contact, you idiot! You're pointing guns at it? Joe shouts. Guy glances over his shoulder, shouting for her to stay back in the crowd. We don't know what this guy is capable of, Guy shouts. But his friends shake their heads and point up. We can make a guess from the spaceship and the damn bubble over the town. Joe snaps at him. She warns him not to escalate the situation. But Hal isn't looking at Guy like his friends. He looks at the crowd that has gathered. The scared people that are watching mankind's first contact with an alien species. They are all staring in fear, waiting for this alien being to judge them, to decide their fate. Finally, Guy slowly lowers his pistol and holsters it. He steps forward again and offers his hand to the alien. Let's start again, okay? We don't understand, Abin Sur. We do not have an understanding. So please, tell us what you want, Guy says gently. Abin Sur stares at him for a moment, but then the flames spread. Green flames seem to shoot from his hand and engulf Guy, burning him until he is nothing but ash. The crowd—
Nigga, what Green Lantern does this? Only Darkseid would make some sick shit like this, bro. Green Lanterns aren't supposed to kill. Green Lanterns don't, first off, Green Lanterns don't kill. They sure as hell don't kill civilians. And they sure as hell not this monstrosity, bro. Something is going on here, bro. Something is going on, bro. Something is not right with the Green Lantern Corps, bro. I don't know if there even is a Corps, bro. No, something is not fucking right, bro. That's not normal, bro. And no multiverse as this shit has ever been a fucking thing, bro.
Begins to scream in fear, but Abin Sur just stares at them all. Guy Gardner has been judged. Judgment is in progress. Be without fear, Abin Sur calls to them all. Deputies Rita and Roy raise their weapons and open fire, but the rounds are stopped before they ever reach Abin Sur, blocked by strange green shields that come up. The rounds bounce off the green light and begin to slam into the people in the crowd. Abin Sur stares at the deputies and raises his hand. Suddenly, Rita is cut in half and falls to the ground, but Roy keeps firing. Abin Sur raises his hand again, and the young man's hand is severed at the wrist. He screams in pain and fear and falls to the ground as his blood begins to pour out. Joe and John rush over to the young man, trying to help him. They scream for Hal to help, but he is just staring in shock. Finally, a look of determination crosses his face, and he reaches down for the deputy's fallen pistol. He lifts it and turns, aiming the weapon at Abin Sur. Hal Jordan, judgment is in progress, Abin Sur says to him. But suddenly, John is standing between them. He is looking at Hal, holding up his hand for him.
What are you doing? John, live! But first off, boy. First off, your fade clean as fuck. First off, my boy, that has to be the toughest fade I've ever seen in my fucking life, bro. Take note, bro. For those motherfuckers making video games and shit, comic books and shit, and you got black characters in it, this is what the fuck we need. Smooth ass waves, the goatee, and the fade. And they really line that bitch the fuck up. Now that bitch clean. No, that shit clean. That bitch clean as fuck. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. You gotta live, my boy. You can't die with a fade like that.
To stop. Hal, finger off the trigger, Hal. Lower the gun. Easy as that. You saw what happened to everyone else who tried. John tells him softly, but Hal is still staring at Abin Sur. Get out of the way, John, he whispers. But John shakes his head. It'll kill you, Hal.
Look at the fucking waves. They didn't even have to do my boy like that. Boy, that got him crispy.
At the very least, it'll take your hand, John whispers. Hal wavers for a moment before finally lowering the pistol. John Stewart, be without fear. Abin Sur rumbles softly.
Live. Please let him. The fade. Get him to pass off the fade alone. Please get him to pass off the temp fade. Look how crispy they got that bitch.
before finally leaping up into the air in a blast of green light and returning to his ship. John turns and rushes back to helping the deputy. "I'll have the gun whenever you're ready, Hal," he calls. Back in the present, Hal stares at his hand. There is a pulse of black energy, and the gun appears in his palm. "I guess I never got around to giving it to him," Hal says as he looks at the gun. He motions towards the door. "You should get out of here, Joe," Hal tells her, explaining that he can feel the black hand's hunger, that it wants the light. It wants to devour it, and not just the green light. It wants the entire spectrum. It wants to supersede it, overturn it. It wants to win the argument, Joe. It's very old. It should have been forgotten. It should be weak. An idea nobody believes. But something fed it. Something gave it a chance. Now it's everywhere. A little piece in everything. All the way out there.
That shit want to smoke with the whole spectrum, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. The whole emotional spectrum is the whole Green Lantern, the whole Lantern mytho. Because it's not just Green Lantern. Green Lantern is willpower. So you got the Green Lantern, which is willpower. I'm gonna see it. It's cool. I'm gonna see if I know them all off top of my head. Green Lantern's willpower. The Yellow Lantern, the Sinestro Corps, the Yellow Lantern is fear. Yellow Lantern's fear. The Red Lantern is rage and anger. The Orange Lantern is greed. The Indigo Lantern is love, right? The Indigo Lantern is love. The Blue Lantern is hope. There's a new one where it's like the Lantern of Sorrow, but I think they scrapped that shit. There's a White Lantern Corps, there's a Black Lantern Corps. There's one more. I think it's 10. There's one more. You got willpower. You got willpower, love, hate, fear, hope, life, death, sorrow, greed, and it's one more. It's one more, bro. What the fuck is the last one? Let me let this shit up real quick, bro. I'm gonna let the video play, but I'm a
all the way in here.
It's one more.
And I'm fighting it, Joe. As hard as I can. I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to. But it keeps telling me I was right. Hal whispers to her as he looks up, and Joe can see the black in his eyes. Days ago in Evergreen, the three friends sit in their favorite diner. The entire town is still bathed in the green light from the dome overhead. John is trying to tell Hal that he doesn't think that he was wrong, that they need to do something to stop Abin Sur. Whatever's happening here, whatever alien judgment is being levied upon us, I don't think anyone's coming to save us from it. So if it comes to it, do we want to take Abin Sur out of the equation? John asks as he stares out into the street. He finally turns back to his friends and reaches into his pocket. "'Cause I think I know what can do it," John says as he pulls out a gold ring. The past. John Stewart stands on the edge of town, staring at the green barrier that now separates them from the rest of the world. He looks down at his hand and stares at the cheap fake gold earring that he is holding. "Johnny? Earth to John Stewart," Todd says as he crosses the street from his diner and holds out a cup of coffee for his friend. "Wake up and smell the legendary coffee. At least before it runs out and we're all drinking that herbal crap I keep in the back."
Oh, okay. I missed when it was compassion. As a compassion Lantern Corps. So apparently, Okay, yeah, it was compassion. Yeah, so it's Green Lantern. So it's willpower, fear, rage, greed, hope, compassion, love, death, and life, and a recompressed and a sad ass emotion. Oh, recompressed emotion. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's a couple more. Okay. Yeah, that's what you missed. It's crazy. Like compassion and hope. I guess compassion and hope is damn near the same thing,
Todd tells him with a
right?
smile. Both friends turn back and watch as vultures continue to feed on the former motorcyclist that had crashed into the barrier. The two discuss the situation in town. Food will hold up for some time, and basic supplies should last them a little while, though Todd admits that most people are keeping to themselves and staying in their homes. They're waiting for the grown-ups, hoping an authority will swoop in and fix this. John explains as he takes a sip of his coffee. Both friends watch as a van drives towards town, but it suddenly stops and simply turns around, driving away like it never saw anything. I think we have to assume the shield has an effect on the minds of those outside. They just don't see it, John says with a sigh. Todd looks at him in shock. How is that even possible? He asks. John shrugs and shakes his head. It's not. Not by any of the rules we know, but all of this is alien and unknown. So, what else don't we know? John asks. He holds up the earring again and shows it to Todd, explaining that it was the only piece of the biker that didn't explode, the only piece that came through the barrier. Todd stares at it in disbelief. You're kidding, he whispers. John shakes his head and holds it up. Why did it make it through? What are the rules? What don't we know? He says before throwing it at the barrier. There's a slight pop of displaced energy as the earring phases through the wall and lands on the other side, clattering gently on the pavement and disturbing the feasting vultures. Both men stare for a moment before taking sips of their coffee. Okay, how? Todd asks. John shakes his head and smiles. I don't know, but I'm going to. I'm going to know everything, John whispers. Back in the present, Joe stands over Hal as he slumps back into one of the diner booths. He stares down at his glowing black hand and turns over the pistol that he still clutches. Joe watches as darkness begins to fall from his eyes like tears. Talk to me, Hal, Joe whispers, but Hal just shakes his head and stands, holding down his black arm as if it has a mind of its own. I told you, the Black Hand is hungry for light, angry at it. Can you turn it off? He asks as he motions to the green light that has formed around her. She looks at him sadly and shakes her head. Hal nods and smiles, releasing his black hand, and he raises it quickly, the pistol aiming at her. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know how to turn mine off either, Hal tells her as he fires the gun. The gun is charged with dark energy, and it hits Joe hard. The green light shields her, but she is still knocked across the diner. The dark energy continues to pour on, but Joe throws up a stronger shield, creating a bubble that pushes the darkness back. Hal, stop! She yells, but Hal shakes his head. It wants the light, Joe. I can't stop it. If you just give it what it wants. Hal bellows, but Joe shakes her head. Green cracks of light begin to appear in her skin. It wants to kill me, like it killed everyone here. You've got to control it, she yells. She closes her eyes, focusing all her will through the green ring that she wears, and pushes it back, suddenly forming a massive green fist that launches across the room, slamming into Hal and knocking.
No, I'm not paying attention. I am paying attention. Believe me. I'm paying attention. Side note, I know you're like, bro, what are you looking down for? I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Side note, right? I'm in a Facebook argument debate right now, bro. I'm in a Facebook argument debate right now, right? Because I am tired. I'm glad you said that. Well, I'm not paying attention. For people on YouTube, I film all my videos on stream, so when you see me talking shit like that, I'm talking to the chat. You feel me? So there's no confusion. Bro, I am tired of Naruto fans saying that they beat One Piece characters. I am tired of that shit, bro. I don't know. I'm in the middle of texting this shit, bro. I don't know where the fuck they lost they. Like, I don't know what part of their brain got fucking retarded. And they started saying this shit, bro. They gotta stop saying that shit, bro. It's not a fight. You no way. In no way, shape, or form is Naruto character beating One Piece characters, bro. There's no way, shape, or form, bro. The belt the ass they will receive will be like this. This right here? That what the fuck that fight will look like. That's what the fuck that fight will look like, bro. It's not a fight. And I'm tired of every time. I'm tired. I'm tired of it, bro. And Naruto fans have no reason why they'll win. They're just like, oh, because it's Naruto, they'll win. Bro, they said who will win, Killer Bee or Enel. You keep in mind, right? Keep in mind, right? Enel is a Logia type. A Logia cannot be touched. You can't touch a Logia unless you have an element or something that counters their element. You can't touch them. And they talking about fucking Enel. Enel was a fucking. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to spoil it for motherfuckers who watching One Piece. But once you get to that Enel arc, it's like the beginning of One Piece. It's like the beginning of One Piece. It's beginning of One Piece. Once you get to that shit, you gonna realize that Naruto fans are fucking delusional. But you know what? I'm finna drop this right here. I'm finna hit send. I'm finna play my video, bro. If I get mad,
knocking him back with enough force that he explodes out of the diner, bouncing along the dusty plain until he comes to a stop.
I apologize, bro, for that. You feel me? I really should apologize to y'all fuck asses. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro, cause fuck y'all. The fuck you on my channel, dickhead. But you know what? I'm gonna show y'all a little. Feel me, bro? I did get caught up in that shit. I was still listening. You feel me? They was just having a little personal talk. I let them have a little personal talk. You feel me? But yeah, I'm back locked in, bro.
Stop.
Locked in, bro.
When he finally opens his eyes, he is looking up at Joe floating above him. Her entire body glowing.
Not the conflict of that boy.
Get your crap under control, Hal, or I swear to God, I'll do it for you. Joe snaps at him. Hal stares up at her in disbelief, his dark hand reaching for her light. How are you controlling it? He whispers as he reaches up to pull back the black hand. The past. John stands at the edge of the barrier as Hal and Joe approach. Hal holds up the golden toy that John asked for. Behold, the Blue Devil! Only he's not blue, because this is an all-gold Funzo figure made to commemorate the 10th anniversary of a pretty forgettable Wayne Tarrant movie. I paid $8 for it, and now it's probably worth maybe 8 cents. Not one of my better deals, Hal says before handing it over to John. I was hoping for a plastic sword or something like that, but this will definitely do, Hal, John says. Joe looks to them, asking what's going on. Hal just shrugs. No idea. He just turned up at my house and asked for a toy that looks like it was made of gold, Hal says, his words trailing off as they watch John suddenly stick the gold toy through the green barrier and drop it on the other side. Interesting. Definitely.
Let me explain that to y'all. Let me explain it to y'all, right? I like that they did that. Cause it hits at the old Green Lantern stories, right? Cause a lot of people don't know this, right? Back then in the 90s and shit, right? The 90s, right? The 90s, 80s, and 70s, right? Green Lantern had one weakness. All Green Lanterns had one weakness. And it was the color yellow. But I don't know why or who made that or why they got approved, but all Green Lanterns had a weakness to the color yellow. I don't know why. Yellow could get past their energy shit. It can get past their constructs. Like, they can't hurt the color yellow. They can't do nothing with the color yellow, bro. With their powers. I don't know why. And that's why the Sinestro Corps, I cannot say that man's name. That's why the Corps that they enemies with wear all yellow. That's why the Sinestro, that's why he wears all fucking yellow. And he made all their uniform yellow. And he made sure all their power, or their rings are yellow. So they can have an advantage over the Green Lantern. I ain't gonna lie, bro. When they had that war, they slaughtered the Green Lanterns. They slaughtered the Green Lanterns, bro. Until the creator rated out I think what happened was, right, the creator got rid of that dumbass afraid of yellow shit. They can't do that yellow. They root that out. They got rid of that shit. And they gave the Green Lantern the permission to kill. That's another thing with Green Lantern. They couldn't kill. They could hurt you, but they couldn't kill you. Until that war happened, and they realized they losing everybody. So they turned on that y'all are permission to kill, which was the hardest line dropped in a comic book, bro. The hardest moment in a comic book. Imagine everybody dying, right? And everybody like, what the fuck is that noise? And that ring says, permission to kill, granted. Boy, they put belt their ass. Boy, it was not a fight. It was over like that, bro. It was over like that. So that's where that's why the yellow and gold shit can go through this little his energy shit. I like how that's a nice little throwback.
Definitely a stronger reaction than last time.
I ain't like that was a rough explanation, bro, but you got the gist of it.
John notes as he stares at the displaced energy that ripples outward before the barrier returns to normal. He turns.
Why the fuck are they soulless? Why their eyes are soulless? And my boy got an eye. That shit weird.
Back and looks to his friends. So, what do we think? He asks. Joe is shocked. Wait, this thing doesn't work on plastic? She asks as she motions to the barrier. John shrugs. We need to stop applying the rules that we know to the unknown, John tells them. Ever hear of the Philosopher's Stone? It's the central symbol of alchemy, the substance that turns base metal into gold. It can heal wounds, prolong life, create a homunculus, light an ever-burning lamp. It's a symbol that stands for enlightenment. What is base becomes gold through knowledge, explaining that it seems like cheap plastic can breach the barrier if it takes the form of gold. John reaches into his pocket and pulls out a wedding ring. Gold with a diamond. It's my grandmother's ring. Let's see what happens when it's real gold, John says, before throwing the ring at the barrier. There is a massive displacement of energy that pushes the friends back, forcing them to shield their eyes. When they look again, they see a hole destroyed in the barrier, but it quickly begins to reform. You made a hole! You made a hole in the barrier! Hal shouts with joy. Joe shakes her head in disbelief. How long was that? 2 seconds? 3? If the hole was bigger, someone could get out. How much gold do we have? She asks quickly. John nods his head, explaining that they need to learn more, but their conversation is cut short as someone begins to speak above them. John Stewart, Abin Sur says as he floats down. The three friends look up
bro.
As the alien holds.
Bro, you can't be black and smart, bro, in any type of scenario, bro. Think you're finna live, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You're not finna live, bro.
Out his hand, and green energy begins to form. John Stewart, judgment is in progress. Abensur rumbles. The green fire begins to engulf John. And Hal and Joe.
Look how my boy stood on business! Look how he dying! No, not only do you have the cleanest face in history, look how my boy, but look how he is fucking dying. Slight smirk, glasses tilted down, eyebrows like, it is what it is, bro. I ain't tripping, bro. I ain't tripping about it, bro. Ain't number $10, bro. I ain't tripping, bro. That's how he's dying! Nah, that boy clean. That boy cold. Not, oh my fucking God. And that's that nigga. Oh my, I ain't lying, bro. He my new favorite Green Lantern, bro. He my new favorite. He my favorite. He my favorite, bro. I gotta react to the main version of you, bro. I gotta read your stories, bro. I'm reading your stories, bro. We doing more Green Lantern stories, bro. That boy tough. Look at him. He's burning alive. Alien fire. Alien energy fire is cooking this man alive. And look at his face.
Watch as their friend is burned before them. John Stewart has been judged, Abensur says before turning away. But Todd comes out of the diner, a shotgun in hand. You miserable son of a... Here's your judgment, Todd shouts as he fires. But the shot never reaches Abensur, instead bouncing harmlessly off a green shield. Judgment is in progress, Todd Rice. Be without fear, Abensur says before flying up in a ball of green energy and disappearing into his ship. Alone, the three friends bow their heads in sadness.
And that's my homie, bro. That was my nigga, bro. That was my homie. My brother, bro. My nigga, break. That was any of my boys I fuck with. Heavy. You know who you are. Who I fuck with, right? Never any of y'all, bro, and an alien did that to y'all, bro. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna do, right? Y'all gonna get advanced, or we gonna be in hell laughing about how I fumbled that, right? Bro, I'm gonna take every gun, right? I have, right? I'm gonna take every gun I have, right? Bro, I'm gonna paint them hoes gold. I'm gonna take every gun, right? Get every bullet I have. I'm gonna paint all them hoes with gold, but I'm gonna light his ass up. Cause even fake gold can get through a shield. Cause that gold, come on, bro, that gold on the toy be fake. It's just the color gold, you feel me? It's fake gold. Bro, I'm gonna coat every fucking bullet in gold. Every fucking bullet in gold. But I'm gonna light his ass up. But I'm gonna light, I swear to God, I ain't gonna sound like 4th of July. But all that crying and shit, all that right there, yeah, I'm gonna cry after I pack his ass up. After I pack his ass up, I'm gonna shed some tears for y'all lads, bro.
John got too close. It wouldn't let him, Joe whispers. Tears spilled from her eyes. Hal nods. We should have been more careful. He should have been. All that talk about clues and lessons. The man of knowledge, Hal whispers. He turns and begins to walk away from his friends. But there's no knowledge to learn. No big enlightenment. We're prisoners, trapped in hell and tortured by an alien god. And it's never going to end unless somebody ends it, Hal tells them. Hal returns home and starts to work. He has one of the cops' pistols and has taken out the bullets. And Hal works hard, painting the bullets gold. Hal closes his eyes. He can see it. A ring of light. A voice stretches out from the darkness and calls to him. Hal Jordan, judgment was made, but penance can be, the voice whispers. But the darkness is overcome with red, and a new voice speaks, angrier than the last. Penance? You were right. You are right. You are always right. The truth is there for all to see.
How the fuck is a voice inside of a voice arguing with another voice?
God is not a ring of light. God is a big black zero. The dark circle around everything. And inside the circle is a single black star. Be the black star, Hal. The voice orders. But Hal shakes his head and opens his eyes. No, I don't want to, he whispers. He looks up at Jo, who floats above him. Her body is encased in a green glowing light. Hal, you need to snap out of this. Stop letting this thing control you. This
don't work that way.
black hand or whatever it is. I don't want to hurt you, Jo shouts at him. Hal gets to his feet. Darkness is still leaking from his eyes like tears. I wish you could, but it won't let you, Hal tells her, motioning for her to run before he can hurt her. But Jo refuses. She motions to the destruction around them. I can't just leave you here. Come on, Hal. Look what you did, she shouts. Suddenly, anger overwhelms Hal. The darkness takes over his voice. What I did, he snarls at her. The black hand reaches out, slamming Jo hard and knocking her away, tossing her into the ground and cracking the earth beneath the force of her impact. The darkness swirls around Hal, creating an armor-like hide with strange red eyes staring out. Jo looks up in fear as the massive black hand reaches for her. What I did? What happened to Evergreen, Jo? Hal demands as he stalks forward. The past. Jo and Todd sit in the diner. Evergreen is quiet and dark. Jo sighs and looks up from her beer. I think I know what happened to everyone, Todd. All those people that Abby didn't see in the general store, who didn't stockpile toilet paper and pasta and coffee. All the people we thought were sheltering in place, she says. Todd nods and takes a sip from his drink. They're gone. They got, one by one, he tells her after finishing his beer. But they are interrupted when Hal walks through the door, the dropped service pistol in hand, his yellow bullets in the magazine. You ready? He asks. Jo looks down at her beer, questioning why they are the last three in a town of 3,000. Finally, she chugs the last of her drink. Hell with it. Maybe I'll ask him, she says as she stands and heads towards the door. She doesn't stop, stepping out into the street and beginning to shout for their strange alien visitor. Abin Sur! I want to talk to you! She shouts into the night sky. Hal and Todd watch from the shadow of the doorway, readying their weapon. I want to talk to you, Abin Sur. I have questions, Jo continues to shout. Suddenly, the dark street is lit by the green glow of Abin Sur as he descends upon them. Sojourner Mulane, be without fear, Abin Sur rumbles as he floats before her. Jo looks at him sadly and finally asks her question. Why? Why did you kill them all? She asks. Abin Sur stares at her for a moment. Them all? I do not have understanding, the alien finally tells her. In the doorway, Hal raises the weapon and takes aim. Jo's got the hard part. All I need is a clear shot, he whispers to Todd. Abin Sur lands gently in front of Jo. Existence.
Are you dumb? Bro, you could have walked up and shot him. Nobody who shot at him was shooting him from a fucking distance, bro. He let everybody walk up to his face and shoot. Are you fucking dumb? Are you stupid? Hal Jordan, are you dumb? I know you portrayed as a dumbass in your stories, but are you really fucking dumb? You bear witness to motherfucker pulling the gun out and shooting him dead in his fucking face. He let it happen. You don't gotta hide. What's the thing gonna happen if you shoot from a far distance, bro? Bro, the bullet is not going to kill him. he gonna realize, but oh, she has something to get past my force field, man, it's GG. It's a wrap. It is a fucking wrap. And you know it. You know once you realize that you're gonna die. So why not just walk up to him, pull it out, while he's making his dumbass face, shoot him point blank range in the head. Oh my fucking God, bro. People are fucking stupid.
Ended for Jason
Like an
Simmons
idiot, bro.
as an accident of the barrier and his relative speed. Existence ended for Rita Powell as a considered judgment, as her chaotic action ended existence for Beatrice Coles. Continued chaotic action was unacceptable. No other existence has ended as an action of this Abin Sur. Jo takes a step back in surprise. She doesn't understand. She saw them die. You murdered John in front of us. You killed Guy. The whole town. You disintegrated them all, she snaps at him. But Abin Sur's gaze remains strong. Sojourner Mulane, no other existence has ended as an action of this Abin Sur, he repeats. Jo glances back at Hal and Todd. They're alive? She whispers. Abin Sur begins to glow again. The green light emanating from his skin. Disintegrated. Taken apart. Implication of end state. Have understanding. That did not occur. They exist in Oa. They are within the Omega Alpha. They are in the second stage. And judgment remains in progress, he tells her as he raises his arms, a green circle appearing around him. In the doorway, Hal lowers his weapon. Todd reaches for him, but Hal waves him off. He's actually talking to her. She's communicating with him. Maybe we don't need the gold bullets. Maybe we can end this here. Everything could end right here, Hal whispers to his friend. Jo takes another step forward. She demands answers about the judgment, about the second stage. Can you bring them back? She asks. Continued existence must be within light. Judgment must be made. I am the Abin Sur. Ein must be selected. Ein Rao. Ein Sur. Ein Ar. Initiates must be selected. Initiates against the darkness, Abin Sur tells her. But Jo still doesn't understand. Abin Sur's gaze is harder, staring into her. Be with fear, Sojourner Mulane. Fear Quard. Fear the weaponers of Quard, Abin Sur tells her. He begins to glow again and rise into the air. Now you have understanding. Judgment is in progress, he tells her. But Jo still wants answers. She reaches out for him before he can leave, before he can return to his ship. There is a spark of energy as her gold wedding ring comes into contact with the green aura. Energy suddenly passes between them. Jo's eyes and mouth begin to emit the glowing green energy, and Abin Sur's eyes widen in surprise. Images begin to flow between the two of them with the energy. Jo sees strange worlds, strange creatures, deep pink skin and yellow eyes, a ring of light, a black star. The energy fully passes into Jo, and she begins to glow and rise into the air. Abin Sur falls to the earth, and he raises a shaky hand towards her. Chaotic action. Anomaly. Anomaly, he bellows. Jo looks at her glowing body, unsure of what is happening. Suddenly, the green barrier collapses around them. Far overhead, the green spaceship suddenly stops glowing and plummets from the sky, slamming into the ground and causing a massive explosion in Evergreen, ripping apart buildings and
Damn! Yo, I ain't gonna lie to you. I seen none of this coming. I seen none of it coming. I thought he was evil. Nigga, why are you talking evil? Why are you doing evil shit, bro? You not even evil. Damn, I thought he was evil as fuck.
creating a
I didn't expect that he was the one that destroyed the whole city.
massive crater. Later, outside the disaster of Evergreen, the US military has set up a perimeter around the disaster area. A helicopter buzzes in. "Well now, isn't that the prettiest sight you ever did see?" he whispers. He looks to his assistant, asking if anyone else has tried to lay claim to the fallen craft. "Am I about to see any sticky fingerprints from Lazarus?" he asks her. She taps her datapad.
If y'all don't know who Lazarus is, that's the tie-in with Superman, the absolute Superman, who's the evil organization, who's running the world. That's what he's dealing with. So I like that they acknowledge each other.
And shakes her head. They may have the knowledge, but with their ongoing situation, they couldn't get ahead of us in response, she tells him. Hammond smiles and pours himself a glass of champagne as the helicopter lands. "See, that's an answer I like. But let's beef up the security perimeter a little. This is the kind of opportunity people get interested in. We've got our own little Gateway City event happening, right here in Nevada. And as of now, it belongs to Hector Hammond," the genius says as he steps out of the helicopter and walks towards the crashed ship. Darkness. The circle of light begins to glow. Todd Rice. Be with fear. Judgment is not in progress. An Abin Sur cannot be appointed. You are an unknown within the spectrum of light. Be with fear. A voice echoes in the dark, and the glowing circle fades away. The darkness is suddenly split as rubble is pulled off Todd. "Somebody's under the rubble!" the emergency workers shout. They pull Todd out and quickly begin to work on him, rattling off his injuries as they begin to cart him to a medical center. But Hector Hammond begins to shout as he moves forward, pushing aside the emergency workers. He leans over Todd and smiles. "Hello, sport. I'm Hector Hammond, the man who decides if you get medical treatment or not. So please, do try to talk," Hector tells him as he leans closer. Todd coughs and tries to think back on what happened. He remembers the sky falling, the great green lantern falling from above and slamming into Evergreen,
How do you live?
crushing his cafe and burying him beneath the rubble. Todd couldn't see it, but he heard all of it. Hal stands before the creature known as Abin Sur. "Where is she?" Hal demands as he raises the pistol and takes aim at the alien. "Where's Jo Mulane? You did something to her. Turned her into something like you. Where is she?" Hal shouts. But Abin Sur looks just as surprised as the human that stands before him. He holds out a glowing green hand. "She has power without understanding. She is Anomaly. Anomalies cannot exist in the spectrum of light. She will be sought, hunted. Be with fear, Hal Jordan," Abin Sur rumbles. The pistol begins to shake in Hal's hand as he grits his teeth. "Be with," but he fires. The pistol thunders again and again, the gold bullet slamming into Abin Sur's chest until the weapon clicks on an empty chamber. Hal lets out a breath of air and lowers the weapon. tears falling down his cheeks. That was for John. For all of them, he whispers as he stands over the fallen alien. But Abin Sur suddenly moves quickly, reaching a black hand up and grabbing Hal. The hand has begun to melt, his flesh turning to black goo. Judgment, Hal Jordan. The Black Hand! The Black Hand! Abin Sur gasps, his face beginning to melt. The goo slides over Hal's hand, covering his skin. He pulls his hand away quickly, but the gun suddenly disappears, and his left hand becomes covered in black. What? What did you? Hal gasps, but Abin Sur's body has begun to melt, turning into a puddle of the black goo. Judgment is no longer in progress, and Abin Sur cannot now be appointed. How far out is the world that's coming? Be with fear, Hal Jordan. Fear the Black Hand. And fear the Black Star. Abin Sur gasps before completely dissolving. Todd looks up at Hammond as he finishes his story, and then I passed out. The billionaire pauses before nodding his head and turning away. Okay, good talk, he says over his shoulder. He quickly looks to his assistant and orders her to get Todd medical treatment. Stick him in one of the labs, for now. Keep him alive. We'll find a use for him later, he orders. He looks at the massive fallen lantern. Joe Mulane. Who the hell is Joe Mulane? He demands. Miles away, Joe floats in the air. A green bubble of energy.
I like her combat stance. I like it. Oh, she ready to put belt to ass. I ain't gonna lie to you, Hal Jordan. She ain't playing with your ass no more. That last hit hurt, and she pissed.
Rounds her as she orders Hal to stand down. But the Black Hand has taken control,
knock your ass out.
warping Hal's body into a hideous monster. I thought he killed you, Joe! That's why I pulled the trigger. That's why all this happened! So, what happened to you, Joe? Hal demands, his voice warped by the dark powers that have overtaken him. Her body seems to glow brighter. This, she snaps as she charges at Hal, blasting through the black goo that has overtaken him. The Green Lantern happened, Joe shouts. She watches as the black quickly overtakes Hal again. It fell out of the sky, and everything in me was screaming to get out before it hit. Next thing I know, I'm in the desert. No idea where, what direction I traveled in, until I felt a pull towards you, Hal. But Hal shakes his head. No, towards the Black Hand, because it was getting stronger. Taking control! Hal growls. Because of you! His voice not his own. The black twists his body, morphing him into a monster. Eyes begin to...
Hey, bro, having a death fight with your friend is crazy, bro. Having a fight to the death with your friend who's losing his fucking sanity, bro, and it's low-key, high-key because of your actions, bro. And you don't think it's fucking crazy, bro.
Open along the black goo, red eyes that turn their gaze upon Joe. You brought the Green Lantern down. You destroyed everything. You stole the power of the Abin Sur. You are an anomaly, Sojourner Mulane. The Black Hand bellows. Hal? Who's talking? Joe whispers. It was you and the ring. The ring! Take off the ring, Sojourner Mulane! Take off the ring! He bellows, but Joe shakes her head, her body glowing brighter. Make me! She snaps at him. She pulls the power in, her body glowing brighter as she begins to charge up. A ball of energy begins to build in her ring, and she lets out a massive blast of energy that slams into Hal. A roar of pain rips from his throat as he falls backwards. and Joe lowers to the ground, weakened by her attack. But the Black Hand rears back more powerful. The goo solidifies into a massive hand that slides out and reaches for Joe. She leaps into the air, flying away to avoid the attack. Meanwhile, back at the carnage of Evergreen, Hector Hammond is unhappy as his workers are unable to break through the exterior of the Green Lantern crash site. But suddenly, the ship begins to react. One of the workers rushes over, handing Hammond a pair of binoculars and pointing to something in the distance. "Mr. Hammond, sir! Air support! Spotted green light! And they're moving in this direction!" The worker gasps. Hammond watches as the green light flips and spirals through the air, avoiding the massive black hand that chases it. "Tell everyone to pull back. We have a puzzle box here we don't know how to open. But I bet here come the keys," Hammond says with joy. Joe spirals through the air, avoiding another reaching attack by the Black Hand. The hand stretches outward, a massive mouth opening in the palm. It lets out another roar as the black tendrils slide out and reach for Joe, grasping her by the foot and slowly beginning to snake up her body. "No!" Joe snaps, firing a green laser to try and cut free of the goo. The two get closer and closer to the fallen ship, which begins to glow and rise at Joe's approach. "Look at it go! Isn't it the most beautiful thing?" Hector Hammond whispers in awe. The goo continues to slither up Joe's body, threatening to completely overtake her. "Come on, come on," Joe whispers to herself. She begins to glow brighter. Her power seems to push the darkness away. Green construct wings begin to spread from her back as she flies faster towards the ship that now floats in the air. A green light beginning to spread from its center at her approach. "Sojourner Mulane," a voice calls to her. Joe reaches down, grabbing the black tendrils in her hand and pulling them forward. Her green light seems to overtake the tendrils, snaking back down to Hal and pulling him into the air. The two of them fly into the green light at amazing speed, and suddenly disappear. "Scan the ship! Keep scanning the ship! If you miss this, I'll kill you myself," Hammond shouts to his assistant. Inside, Joe finds herself and Hal floating in the darkness. But suddenly, there is a circle of light. "Sojourner Mulane, Hal Jordan, be without fear," a voice calls, as John Stewart appears before them,
What the hell?
bathed in golden light. The dark sphere moves through the vastness of space, blotting out all around it. How far out is the world that's coming? A voice asks. Cameron Chase suddenly looks up as someone calls her name. The secretary cocks an eyebrow at her as Chase tries to shake off the dream. "Agent Double will see you now, Agent Chase," the secretary repeats. Chase nods and enters her superior's office. He motions her to a seat. "Cam, thanks for making the time. Sorry to pull you away from your caseload," he says. "What caseload?" she asks, pointing out that with her current workload, she'll be done by Tuesday at the latest. "What do I do for the rest of the week? Lean back and count the ceiling tiles? Is this about Evergreen?" she asks. Her superior stares at her for a moment. "It's not entirely about Evergreen," he finally says, explaining that they can't put her on the Evergreen case, and every regulation says that she has to stay off it. Cameron glares at him. "So, did Hector Hammond buy you a beach house or what?" she asks. Moments later, she is stalking down the halls towards the building's exit. "Administrative leave, my ass," she grumbles.
That's a lot of ass.
Meanwhile,
That's a lot.
Joe and Hal open their eyes and find Jon Stewart sitting before them. He motions to the darkness around them that has begun to take the form of their world. All of this is Oa. Don't panic. Don't be afraid. I'm going to translate these concepts as best I can, he says softly. But the darkness returns, lit only by a circle of light and the images of the people of Evergreen floating before them. Joe and Hal stare in shock as Guy floats before them, but his body is glowing with a red light. Jon nods, explaining that Abin Sur is the judge of worlds, that he arrived to judge them first in Evergreen, and then transported people into the Green Lantern, and the presence of Oa. People were afraid, but no one died. You're all alive? Joe asks in shock. Jon nods calmly. We're all together, here in this place of understanding, and we are all without fear, Jon tells them both. But Hal shakes his head. His hand still glows with the dark power, his eyes black. Jon, thank God you're okay. But fear is all I can feel. It's the hand. The hand doesn't like it here, Hal whispers. Guy begins to speak. There are 4 levels of light. Quard is the lowest, then Rao, then Sur, then R. Chaotic action, restraint from action, correct action, total understanding, enlightenment, he says with a smile. Joe is confused. That doesn't make me want to panic any less. Is Guy okay in there? What is this place? What's the Green Lantern? What's Oa? What was Abin Sur judging us for? She demands. Jon explains that Abin Sur was a guardian at the green level of light. His task was to select initiates into the light. For what's coming, Guy showed restraint, so he was judged as deserving of the red flame, Jon tells them. What about me? Did I deserve this? Talking in my head? Telling me every dark thought I have is right? Why would he do that to me? What good is that? Hal demands. Joe nods in agreement, demanding to know why Abin Sur did this to them. That I don't know. We can't ask. He's dead. Chaotic action. All I can tell you is what I've seen and what I've learned. What's coming for us, Jon tells them, explaining that because he sought knowledge, he was chosen for the Gold Flame, Ein-Ar. There are those who see Oa as incorrect. They take power from the dark, power without restraint. The Abin Quard.
I don't know what the fuck you talking about. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I've been confused the last 5-10 minutes, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I don't know. This is fucking new. This new. I don't think the motherfucker who ran this shit know what the fuck they talking about. Yeah, the Green Lantern Corps is right. Like if you overcome fear with your willpower, with the will to live or some shit like that, they'll give you a ring. The ring will come to you, right? It'll slip on your finger, and some motherfucker will come find you, bring you to an Oa, a planet, and they'll train your ass. And now you gang. That's some different shit. But I don't know what the fuck they talking about.
The Weaponers. The Black Stars. How far out is the world that's coming, Joe? How far out is the world of chaos? How far out is the Black Star world? Jon asks her. He looks up. A vast dark planet moves through the universe. How far out is Mogo? Jon whispers.
Mogo?
Hal's eyes widen in fear as he looks at the dark planet. That's it. That's the thing in my head. It's the size of a planet, and it's in my head. Hal gasps. Enemies fear the face of steel, Guy says with a smile. But Joe shakes her head. Screw this, she says. She turns back to John, explaining that she is an anomaly. All of Abensur's power, none of his knowledge. I don't know what the rules are, not like you, John. But if I don't know the rules, I don't have to stick to them, she says. She smiles and reaches a hand out for Hal. If Abensur put this crap into you, Hal, I'm betting I can get it out, she says. Hal is hesitant at first, but finally trusts his friend and reaches out for her hand. John said this is all one thing. We're all one thing. You're just at the lowest level, that's all. Somebody's gotta help you up, she says. Their hands touch, and the energy begins to pulse between the two of them, mixing and swirling until the green light begins to push back against the darkness. There you are. Black Hand, let go of my friend, Joe orders. And the darkness begins to explode out of Hal. Outside, Hector Hammond is watching the giant green lantern through a pair of binoculars. Tell me we're getting somewhere, he calls over his shoulder. His assistant nods. We're drowning in data, sir. We don't know what any of it means so far, but we will, she tells him. Hammond smiles and nods at her enthusiastically. That is what I wanted to hear, sweetie. 10 out of 10. Your steak box is in the... He begins to cheer. But suddenly, the lantern begins to glow. A green light streaks out of it and disappears. Everyone stares in shock, but suddenly, the darkness begins to flow out. The lantern suddenly spews the black liquid out, forcing it to rain down on the encampment. Sir, we should pull the scan teams back, the assistant suggests. Hector turns to her for a second. No, get the data. That's an order. This is just getting good, he snaps. They watch as the green light buzzes for a moment before speeding away. The scan teams try to track it, but lose it as it quickly disappears towards Coast City. Hector stares off into the distance in anger until his assistant coughs slightly. He turns back to her. The object, sir, it's gone, she whispers. Hector turns his look of disbelief back on the remains of Evergreen, where the green lantern has disappeared, leaving behind a lake of the black liquid. He turns to those gathered around him. Oh, you have got to be... You! What did you see? What happened? He demands of his technicians. The people put their hands up in surrender. We were scanning the whole time, but it just blinked out of existence, Mr. Hammond, one of them explains. Hammond turns away from them and begins to mutter to himself. Let me think. Nobody's got it. Not us, but not Roz. And we've got what it left us. The black ooze, all that data. It's a win. It's a win, he mutters to himself. Meanwhile, a green light flashes on the moon. A ring floating above it, and floating above that, John Stewart, glowing with the golden light. How far out is the world that's coming? Closer every day. Come back soon, Joe, John whispers as he stares out into the darkness of space. Meanwhile, Cameron Chase is alone in her apartment in Coast City, talking with her former partner, Simon Baz, on the phone, angry with being put on administrative leave just because her ex-wife is from Evergreen. I threw her out, Simon. She wasn't there anyway. She always told me she never wanted to go back there.
Damn, they did an absolute Batman reference. And they did I think a Flash reference. No, they did a Superman, absolute Superman reference, and an absolute Batman reference. I'm waiting till the Batman one get full story, right? And I'm gonna cover it, or I might just do it piece by piece, but I want a full story of it. But we're gonna do one. I think Wonder Woman's finished. Wonder Woman story is wrapped up. So we're gonna do Absolute Wonder Woman story next.
Cameron tells Baz. Suddenly, there is a knock at her door. Cameron puts her phone on speaker and sets it down, and gets up to answer it. God, how many times can Sojourner Mulane screw up my life? Cameron complains. She opens the door to find a glowing Joe standing before her.
Shit.
Hal leaning heavily on her shoulder. Hey Cam, I didn't know where else to go. Can we talk? Joe asks. And that was the full story for the first volume of Absolute Green Lantern, issues 1 through 6 by Al Ewing. I personally really enjoyed this story.
I did too. They gotta do more. Yeah, they gonna release more, bro. They gonna release more, bro. So it's not the end story of Green Lantern, it's just a full story so far. Okay.
But I've heard some divisive opinions, so I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. And like and subscribe to help the channel. I'm Dan with Comic Story.
Shout out to Dan. And rest in peace, Benny, man. Without Benny, man, none of this would be possible, man. RP the GOAT, man.
And we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.
Rest in peace, Benny, man. And we out of here with that one, man.